I don't know if any of you are youngest children. I'm the youngest of three. And growing up, I would come up with creative ways of getting included in playing with my sisters, including being willing to sit in the windowsill at 3 years old and be in the womb. I'd sit there for a long time and I'd say, "Can I be born yet?" And they're like, "No, you can't be born yet." So as a kid, I would play with animals. Like, I just really wanted to connect with people, and I loved animals. And so I would play these games with my guinea pig that I thought were really fun, and I thought the guinea pig would love too. Like, put it into a tennis ball can and flip it in the air. I'm like, "It's like a roller coaster." And my sister was like, "No, let it out of the can." I gave it a bath, and it ended up getting pneumonia and died. So everybody in my family was like, "Don't let Betsy overlove the animals." So one day in third grade, it was a Wednesday afternoon. I'm from Michigan. It was a beautiful fall day. And Faisal, my friend from third grade, he had to go home. And so I was kind of in the house, like, what am I going to do now? And I thought, I'll go play with Bouton, our dog, French for button. His name's Bouton. I'll go play with Bouton in my sister's room, and she has a parakeet. And the dog was a Brittany Spaniel mix. So he loved when the bird made bird noises. Me, I would make bird noises. And I'd make the dog think it was the parakeet. So I went down there and I start making bird noises. He starts getting really excited, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is awesome." And sometimes when he would do that, he would jump up on the bookshelf. So like standing up, he was about as tall as I was. And I always loved to like hug the dog, and I was like, "Ooh, we're standing, I'll hug you around the shoulders." So he's all excited, and he's like barking, and he's looking at the bird, and I'm making the bird noises. And I went and I put my arm around him, and at the same time, I stepped on his foot. And he went, "Ah!" like that. And his eye tooth caught my neck and cut me, basically ripped my neck open. So I'm like, it totally scared me, obviously, and I was standing there, and I was like, "What just happened? Like, did he just bite me?" And I felt my neck, and I looked at my hand, and it was covered in blood. As an 8-year-old, I look back at this, and I think, how was I so composed? My family taught us to not freak out when there's an emergency. So I looked at my hand. Also, side note, I was really freaked out that I was going to be in trouble because I obviously was teasing the dog. So I look at my hand, and I'm like, and my dad was working in his home office down the hallway. So I looked at my hand, and I just slowly walked down the hallway. And I walked into his door was open, and I walked in, and I stood behind him to his right. And I said, "Dad, I'm okay, but I think the dog bit me." And he turned around, and it's one of those moments as a kid where you're like, it's cool, like I'm bleeding, but like it's a little scratch. And he turns and he looks at me, and I have never seen his face look so freaked out because at this point there's blood all the way down my shirt. And his eyes just bug out, and right then I was like, "Ah!" I was like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" So he picks me up and he runs me to like the other end of the house. I don't know why he had to bring me to the living room. Maybe he needed like sunlight to look into the wound. I don't know. But anyway, he laid me down to see how bad it was, and it was pretty bad. So he rushed me to the emergency room. It took 4 adults to hold down each of my limbs because they had to give me these shots with a needle that from my angle and size looked like it was about 2 feet long. And I had to get 6 shots in my neck because it was an animal bite. And I had stitches, and my memory says it was 18 stitches, but it was about 1.5 inches or 2 inches, like it was pretty long. And so we got home, and my hair was like plastered to my head because my dad's palm was maybe sweaty, or I was sweaty, but my hair was literally plastered because he'd just been like petting my head to help me feel like assured. So we get home, we tell my sisters and my mom, and everybody's totally distraught and freaked out. Also, the doctor told my dad that the cut was millimeters from my jugular. So my parents obviously were very freaked out. My mom said, "Well, we need to give the dog away." And we had had the dog since I was 3, and the family loved the dog, and we all were just bawling. We're like, no, we can't give the dog away. We took a vote. And everybody voted to keep the dog except for my mom. I understand. I mean, I'm sure if I had a kid and the dog, nobody else was in the room. Nobody knows. The dog bit me and almost bit my jugular. So we voted, and everyone voted. My dad, my sister said, "Well, it was Betsy's fault." And I was like, yeah, it was. It was my fault. And we actually had that dog for 8 more years. And so what I learned is that, I didn't need to... I don't need to trick or tease an animal into getting a hug. And, sometimes my enthusiasm brings out the best in others, and sometimes it brings out the worst. Thank you.